Greetings, mortals, and welcome. Please present your tickets for validation. Thank you. Your existence has been acknowledged, and you have been granted access every Thursday and Friday. You will be accompanying your guides, Krista and Brandi, along with a world-renowned guest. They will be exploring an intriguing tendril of what humans refer to as reality each week, as they strive to advance you further down the path to the truths of your physical earth and what lies on the other side. Remember to please keep your hands and feet in the vehicle at all times, and do not exit until the craft has come to a complete stop. Good morning, everybody. How's your Thursday morning doing?
Yeah, it is your Thursday morning, isn't it?
It is. I'll tell you what. I don't know if you caught any of Rob's show. I was going to sit out. I was going to sit out Rob's show and sleep so I could jump on and do this show tonight, right?
Right.
Because I got to go to work as soon as because I got to folks. I'm sorry, I got to bail at 9:30 sharp because I got to go to work. But I couldn't sleep. I got 2 hours sleep this morning, and my phone rang and woke me up, blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. So I'm like, I'll try to go back to sleep. I couldn't go back to sleep. I just laid there, stared at the ceiling, and so I'm like, well, screw it. So I got up and I jumped on with Rob, did that show. Now, I slept after Rob's show.
Oh, well, that's good. At least you got some.
Yeah. I did not when my alarm went off to get up to do this show, I did not want to get out of bed. I had to force myself into the shower, and oh my gosh, man, it was not pretty. But here we are, And then we didn't even know what we was going to talk about.
No, we didn't. Well, I mean, you think we'd be more prepared, but Tex, I mean, you work overnights. I work extremely early in the morning.
Yeah.
We're confused. We don't even know what day it is.
Well, we're confused on a good day. I mean, so it's, you throw this into the mix and we're done. I mean,
Exactly. Because I woke up and I went to work at I woke up at 2:30 and then went to work and everything. So I've been going for like 16 hours, and then I'm like, you know what? I got to lay down and take a nap. I don't even know how this is going to work. So when I laid down and I woke back up, I was like, am I late for work? That's what I thought. I thought I was late for work. I must have been sleeping good. I'd only laid down for about an hour. And I was like, woo. Thank you, Tennessee Ridge Runner.
Appreciate it so much. That's a good way to kick off the show. Right. And Pancho's right. He said, "Oh wow, Gary Spike Sr. did it right behind him." Thank you. Thank you, Pops. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
But it's like Pancho just said, we could always talk about the hoo-hoo. So James Fatake, thank you very much, brother.
Thanks, James.
Good grief, man. Y'all, Mickey G, right out of the bat, member for 6 months.
All right. Woo.
Man, y'all are awesome. If y'all ain't careful and we get this good response from y'all, Krista's going to want me to do this full time. So
we're nowhere near that, I promise you.
So, but and you're right. We could talk about the hoo-hoo, but we and I was trying to think, and I was I'm like, oh, this is something we've never talked about, and it's Bigfoot in the Wild West.
Absolutely,
You know?
we've not talked about that.
Yeah. Why have we not? How have we not talked about this?
I don't know what it is. I'm not hearing like super big stories coming out of the West lately. I don't know what's happening. I know they're going on.
Well, yeah, but I mean back in the day, back in the 1800 Wild West. Why have we never discussed that?
I don't know because they reported seeing them.
Yeah, you would think it would be a natural thing on Texas front porch. I mean, but no, I didn't have
You
that
would
idea.
think.
Yeah, I didn't have that idea over there. Oh no, 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 no. Had to use it over here on the damn Blonde show. So here we go.
Hey, we live in the South too.
Yeah, but come on. So
But
that's what we're
Texas,
gonna that's what we're gonna dive into tonight. Well, Missouri was pretty damn wild, man. I got to tell you, back in the day,
yeah,
Missouri, yeah, James and Frank and yeah, a bunch more. But so and it's not and I honestly there's several accounts that took place back in the 1800s that we can talk about, but that's not really what I want to focus on. I thought we could focus on
Hmm.
just kind of like the whole thing that was mentioned the other day about um I can't remember who asked the question. It may have been Donnie or Paul or I can't remember, but they said, well, back in the day before all this technology and all this kind of stuff, like back in the medieval days and all this kind of stuff,
Mhm.
do you think the encounters were more than they are today? Well, the reports we get from then, from the First Nations people, are they live side by side with these things,
Yes.
and they had different relationships with them. So what was, I mean, we think we got four missing 411 now. you know, I mean, you had people traveling, families traveling across in a damn covered wagon up through the mountains and everything else. How many of those didn't make it because of this,
Well, yeah, you got to think about it, and then they blamed it on Indian tribes and things like
Right.
that. That the territory that they had to pass through. But seriously,
Yeah.
you know,
Because think
you
about
you, you and I know there's a couple of them that it wasn't any
Oh,
Indians. I
absolutely.
promise.
Absolutely. Well, and the thing about it is, if you think about what the reports that we used to hear, it was either Indians or Raiders.
Right.
Just like back in or highwaymen, is what they used to call them.
Mm-hmm.
But what if it wasn't? Well, that's just what they got blamed because they didn't know any better.
Yeah.
You
'Cause
know?
how would they know? How
Yeah.
would they know? It's not like
Yeah.
they have news media plastered all over everybody's television and telephone, you know what I mean, or their cell phone. They don't have that.
Right.
They'd have no idea what they'd be walking into or riding into or anything
Yeah.
like that. I mean, they knew of the Indians because
Yeah.
that's those stories traveled fast.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, there were stories. I've read a couple stories, and this is many years ago, but heard a couple stories about a wild man. Like they ran into a wild man out there, and that sort of thing, and uh, or a hairy man or something like that. But you never heard the word Bigfoot, because they didn't call it Bigfoot then. They didn't know what it was.
No, and there are so many things when you get to, and this is stuff we don't normally think about. When you get to thinking about it, and I heard it mentioned a long, long time ago, and I can't remember who did it. I mean, this was like years ago. That I know who it was now. It was Kerry Arnold. It was Kerry Arnold that said this. I remember talking to him about it, and he was talking about, well, There's a reason that we have Devil's Canyon, and Satan's this and all this kind of stuff, um, Monster Bayou and all these different names that we still have. They're still on the places because you'll be driving across the country like we do every once in a while, to go to these different places that we have to go to conferences and stuff, or even investigations, and you'll run across, you'll drive across a creek that's Booger Creek or Devil's Creek or Canyon or Road or whatever, and that's where those names came from, So it was a deal. There's a reason that down here in the South we call them boogers, and we grew up calling them in the boogie man. That's where that comes from.
Yeah, because I remember my dad used to say the booger man.
Yeah.
Y'all better get in this house. The booger man's going to get you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was, and I didn't even realize we were going to open up a Pandora's box when I came up with this, when I came up with this title, because it was just like, oh, this sounds cool. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell are we going to talk about? But then you start talking about it, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is a whole thing, because we've got reports from Davy Crockett, Daniel Boone, of them running into them. We've got reports of the 1851 massacre over at the LaFleur massacre.
Right.
So
we just don't talk about it.
It's funny because we talk about it, but we don't know we're talking about it really, because we talk about these little stories that I've mentioned. Look at the Loot Guru and the Bugaloo or whatever it is down there in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
You got stories from there too. Kentucky. They didn't even want to hunt in Kentucky. Land of the Lakes had a reputation before we even stepped foot on here.
Right.
Well, and Amy Crew, you're right. Teddy Roosevelt. So thank you, T-Bone.
Thank you, T-Bone.
Man, y'all are just freaking awesome tonight. I love it.
We got the best group ever, don't we?
And I know a lot of people say that on their podcast and everything, but I mean, honestly, these people are so supportive of what we do.
I know, because they bounce from show to show to show.
They do.
I mean,
they do.
And you can't have better fans and followers and friends than that, and family. Let's just call it family.
Yeah.
And you just can't beat it. You just can't beat it at all. I mean, they're putting up with me and this terrible internet junk I have.
Well, we got lucky because we did throw out the bat signal, so there's a couple of people might be joining us. I know one's going to come up for sure. There might be another one because I threw out the bat signal to two people, and so we'll see. But,
that is so funny you say that, because I put out on my Facebook today, it was just a little meme thing, and it says, if you can't reach me at nighttime, I'm out helping Batman.
There you go.
That's what it said. I'm like, well, that's perfect. Perfect.
And we're sitting there talking about just Bigfoot. We haven't even mentioned the other stuff.
No.
Because we know Dogman was a thing.
Yes.
There was werewolves, Dogman, whatever you want to call it, over in France, killing hundreds of people.
Right.
To the point that the army was sent in to hunt it down.
And I can't remember exactly what the right terminology they used. I don't know if it was wolf man or werewolf. I don't know which one it was. But yeah, I remember reading that article about that. That
Yeah,
is
well,
strange.
Jason and I believe it was Donnie did a whole show on it. The Beast of oh, y'all gonna kill me. Um,
Oh, I can't say it.
Suck it, boy. That's what it is. Um,
Pepe Le Pew. I don't know.
yeah,
I'm just
yeah. I
saying.
don't. We're gonna anger the French if we don't be careful.
Well, Donnie's in chat. Maybe he can correct us.
Okay, well, Ristel, thank you so much for putting that out there. If I could, Jevadon, thank you.
Pepe Le Pew. See?
Yeah. Like I said, you don't want to anger the French. They'll throw the rifles down and run from you. But when we get to talking about this, because think of the mountain men, the prospectors, and that's another story. You got Ape Canyon, you've got, the old boy that got kidnapped by him. And the list goes on and on. It's like I said, we always talk about it, but we don't know we're talking about it, and we don't talk about it as a subject, which is just
True.
floors me. I'm like, how did we not put all this together and just make it I'm really kind of mad at myself that I didn't save this for front porch. I really am. So Krista, you the one. But it was, hey, y'all speaking about this event in October, I need y'all to tell me real quick. Y'all were talking about a meet and greet in Alabama in October, I believe it was. Who's having that? I've got people that are asking me, and I don't know.
Who's having the meet and greet?
That's what I'm asking.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Well, I evidently I triggered Tennessee Ridge Runner.
Uh-oh.
He says, Tex, I'm offended. Why are these creatures always male? Why not dog, women, or Smallfoot?
I've asked the same thing.
Well,
I'm
you
like,
know what?
why are they sexist? I want to know.
Yeah,
But
well, and that's my misogynistic side coming out, I guess. It's
I mean, oh my gosh, they have to say it's a man of some sort because, when they think of women, they don't think of them like terrified, or scary. I guess they haven't met the right woman yet.
I was fixing to say, I know a few. Well, that's like in y'all these movies like Jurassic Park and Species. Why did you make it female? Well, the female is less aggressive. Those decisions were obviously made by somebody that was raised up in their mama's basement until they were, retirement age and never had a girlfriend. Because I got news for you. There's a reason that there's a term, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Scorned, yes. Absolutely.
And you do not want to get in the middle between a mama and her anything. A mama anything and her cubs, pups, babies, it does not matter.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, throw some children in that mix and see what happens.
Yeah, that is. I mean, because there's a lot of, we'll call them normal animals that the female, they'll actually run the male off after a litter is born. Because they tend to eat their own young. And I'm not convinced that it's that way with Bigfoot or Dogman, for that matter. It may be, I don't know. I don't think Bigfoot Dogman, that's a possibility. You know, they run the male off.
Just until probably the young get a little bit,
Right,
older,
right,
so they can defend themselves. But
right.
I see that more on the dogman side than I would see on the Sasquatch side. The
Yeah,
Sasquatch seem like more of a family unit, versus like, dogman. I don't see them having that type of relationship.
right, right. But it's, you have to wonder how many of these massacres are, whatever, even because we hear about houses out on the prairie and stuff. These people have these remote cabins, and they would go claim a section of land. Well, a section of land is, what is it, 264 acres or something like that, or no,
Hmm.
640 acres.
No, I was gonna say, well, it was something big.
Yeah, I think it was 640 acres. Um, that's a lot, and you didn't. Just that many acres is enough to get away from civilization. Much less, I mean, and what we loosely called civilization back then wasn't a whole lot. You know.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. JD Smooth says the male will kill young from another male to mate with the females in some animals. That is true. That's very true. But why am I? Who be blowing up my phone?
I don't know. I'm like, who's calling you right now? Probably the same person calling you from this morning.
No,
You know,
actually, it's Pops. Thank you, Pops. Appreciate that. It's Woodwalkers that are having the meet and greet in October in Alabama, I believe. So, um, but anyway, you know, when we talk about this, we got to talk about the relationships between the First Nations people and the Bigfoot, because we hear different tribes had different relationships with them. Some of them were not good, but some of them they talk about actually trading with the Bigfoot people. And that's what they call them. They call them people, and I think they are. I think they are a. Well, I guess that goes right into a relic hominid, but and see that, and I know I'm fixing to piss a lot of people off. Thank you, Shelley Montgomery.
thank you, Shelley.
Great show, great chat. Oh, thank you so much.
That's sweet.
Um, I'll be sure and tell Krista I did a good job. Um,
She's watching. Ugh.
but I've, and I know that I also know that the First Nations people consider them a spiritual being. You know, um, but I have to
Well,
wonder
they
if they
they
were talking about two separate things.
well, I don't know. I mean, because you know how they would talk about your spirit animals, like bears
Mm-hmm.
and wolves and eagles, and did they think that one of like a Sasquatch was one of those spirit type animals?
Yeah, I mean it's very possible because I mean it's I mean but when they still when you hear them talking about living next to these clans and trading with these people, or not having a good relationship to them and stealing the spiritual aspect in the conversation kind of goes away.
Right.
You know, it's more like when they talk about them in a like a solo topic that they bring the spiritual aspect into them. Barry Kustachin says we had our own type of monsters. Bigfoot arrived in the 1950s. Wait a minute, what? In the 1950s in my area. Huh. William Bay says the Kanati were the Bigfoot who were friends. Yet in the Sierras, the native people had a war with the Bigfoot. Yeah, see, and the whole Lafleur massacre, we believe that was Janoskwa that did that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's werewolf natives seem to be the ones that knew Bigfoot. But I guarantee you, they knew more about him than we do. And unfortunately, I don't think a lot of that got passed down correctly from over time. And again, I kind of blame that on the white man because we tainted a lot of their history, and we wiped out so many of them that I think a lot of that got twisted and lost. There's also a story back in the 1800s of railroad men catching a juvenile Bigfoot in a railroad car.
Well, it seems plausible. I mean, they were riding on the tracks. They used to ride on the tracks with the doors wide open on the cars. So, could one have jumped on? Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the whole story behind it. I'll have to look it up. And honestly, we're just opening a can of worms on a bunch of different topics that we could talk about further in future shows.
Yeah, definitely going in depth in each of these because I mean, all these little tidbits are interesting and there's so much depth to each one of them that, you could exhaust yourself talking about it.
That might be a good thing to do a series on, the 1800s, reports and stuff, because, and I keep saying this, but it's true. We talk about it here and there, here and there, here and there, but we never talked about it, as a whole, as a Bigfoot era, I guess you could say. But it's, to me, it's pretty fascinating when you really, really start to think about it and give it some pause and start, doing the math, because how often do these, like I said, these mountain men, these buffalo hunters and all this stuff, how often do they run into these things? Think about the Pony Express.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, these people were riding solo, across, I think, I don't know if it was 20 or 40 miles between the horses and stuff, but, or maybe less than that. But let's see, William Bay says, my Cherokee ancestors tell stories of Tusul Kalul, who helped feed them, but also they were attacked by them and stayed away from areas where the Bigfoot was at. Well, and I think that goes right back to, and I've talked about this before, every tribe was different. Even every Bigfoot tribe was different. It's no different than the Native American tribes or the villages that you run into down in South America, like I've said before, it's you walk into one village and you're treated like you're treated like a god, and you're treated to a feast, and you go 10 miles down the river, you walk in another village, you are the feast. So
Right. That's true. That's very true.
So I think it's the same thing. It depends, how the culture of that particular tribe was. The Native Americans, some tribes, didn't mind dealing with the white folks. You know, Others, they were very, very warlike. And rightly so, but they didn't like outsiders at all. Hey, Josh Turner. Um, so yeah, JD Smooth, depending on what clan of Bigfoot you're dealing with. Exactly.
Well,
There's
yeah, I
different,
mean, I
there's
could see
different as
that
you and I.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I was just thinking it's just like dealing with some families, like you wouldn't want to deal with a family in the mafia, would you? Not
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It's really something when you start, when you start drilling, excuse me, when you start drilling down into this, there's all kinds of rabbit holes you can go down.
Well, yeah, I mean, okay, so think about this though. Um, when they started building the railroads
Yeah.
from the east to the west, and they had these groups of guys out there that are building these railroads. Can you imagine what they were seeing out there? How many of them just up and disappeared in the middle of the night?
Right. Right. Well, that did happen. There were raids on railroad camps, you know, and again, it got blamed on, you know, Indians or bandits.
Right.
But what if it wasn't?
Well,
All of
some of it
all of
wasn't.
it.
Yeah, some of it wasn't. There was things out there, picking these guys off when they're out there, in the field and working and all. Yeah, they got picked off.
You know, and we hear about the um the children getting kidnapped a lot. And again, it's blamed on the Indians. But we know even now that happens
Hmm.
with a Bigfoot, you know. So I just think we're how this subject got passed over for so long. I don't know. I've never heard anybody really talk about this.
I don't know. I think that uh, we need to start taking a deep dive into some of these old stories and talk about them. I mean, I'm sorry, we talk about all the new stories, all the new
Yeah.
encounters and experiences and things like that, but we don't go back and look at these encounters or experiences from the 1800s and even the early 1900s. We're not even looking at these, and we really need to look at it.
Well, and me and Randy used to trap, and it was nothing to come up on a trap that was either just empty but sprung, or just had a leg left in it, and we just assumed that whatever the fox or rabbit or whatever was caught in there had chewed its own leg off, because that was the old explanation. But
Yeah.
that's a free meal, you know. And I've even seen movies where the movie will be about an old trapper or something, and he'll talk about, and they'll just mention it. They'll talk about how um the Indians are stealing stuff out of his traps, or whatever, you know.
Hmm.
But I don't think it probably, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure that happened. Like I said, that's an easy meal, but you got, hell, even normal large predators would take advantage of that. We're fools if we
Right.
don't think these things were as intelligent as they are.
Well, I mean, you got to think about these traps too. I mean, what is everybody putting in them? It's all different. Sometimes, I mean, it just depends on who sorry, who's doing the traps. You know, they could put
Right.
in whatever, and Bigfoot comes along and says, "Oh, that looks good here. We'll have this fox leg, and I'm just going
Yeah.
to take what you got."
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, it smells better, or I want to taste that, but I'm not going to take this without giving something.
Right. Right. I mean,
I
I've had traps disappear that were wired to a tree. It didn't happen
Yeah,
very often, but I've had it happen.
and you got to ask yourself, what was that big that could just rip this thing off the tree that it's hooked to and just take off with the whole thing? What was that?
And see, I always just assumed it was somebody, another person stole my trap.
Hmm.
I never even gave it two thoughts. Never even did. That was the automatic assumption.
Well, it possibly could have been
But
a Bigfoot going, "You're not going to put this here."
yeah, exactly.
Mm. Yeah, it's like, I already know what this is, and this is not staying here. So we're gonna move this, or I'm gonna go and bury it, or or something. And it wouldn't surprise me if one day somebody walks up on something and figures out, hey, they buried these traps.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, if they had little ones in the area, you know,
Hmm.
and like, oh no, no, you're not hurting my kid. And I would go,
Right.
you know.
I mean, we would do the same thing. We
Hmm.
see something out there that could hurt our children. The first thing that we're gonna do is either break it up and make sure that it can't hurt
Yep.
anybody, or we're gonna pick it up and move it and do away with it.
Yep.
So that just makes complete sense.
Yeah. And see, this is stuff I never thought about. Not until
Hmm.
today, I didn't think about this. But now, looking
It,
back, and especially the area I grew up in, I know I had a dog man in the area, which I
right?
guess he could have done it, but I know we had Bigfoot in the area too, just from the accounts that are took place around there. So it makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. In fact, it makes more sense than it being a human because you're back in the brush, off the trail, putting these traps out, and where do you put them? Easy access to fresh water is a great place, you know, because that's where your animals are going to congregate.
Right.
Well,
Right.
where are they going to go? They're going to go where they can get good fresh water, you know?
Yeah, but you're gonna basically put it on the path that they're gonna
Yeah.
take.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Where else do you set? Oh, you set them on game trails, already established game trails.
Yeah.
Well, what are these things? I mean, all these game trails weren't small game creek train, or
Mm.
some of them were Bigfoot trails.
Yeah.
Not that I realized it back in the day, but
Well, that just brings up another good question, or things like this about trappers back in the 1800s in Alaska and things like
yeah,
that. Were they encountering, Bigfoot a lot more than what they were thinking? They were probably just thinking it was a bear, drug it off, or whatever, or just took the bait, or whatever. But
right,
how many of them came up missing?
yeah, yeah. And you
Because a
got
lot of them out there had they were on sleds with dogs. I
yeah,
mean, there's a meal. I mean, the dogs are tied.
yeah,
I mean, what an easy meal.
yep. I don't know, man. It's a pretty amazing subject you really get to thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I just,
yeah, you got me wondering about it too. Now I'm just sitting here thinking, gosh, like, oh my goodness.
I had no
Wow.
idea we were going to open this box and it was going to be this deep. I really did not. I just thought it was a fun subject to talk about, and it is. It's very eye opening, to be honest with you. It's like you said earlier. We've got to take a deeper dive into some of this stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I think there's a lot of information that we're skipping or missing or something here. Because we're only
Okay.
concentrating on recent happenings and not
Right.
that. I mean, it just seems like because back then it seemed like that humans were more vulnerable to that type of I don't want to say attack, but you know what I mean, that experience, that
Oh,
encounter. They were
absolutely.
more vulnerable to it because they would
Absolutely.
live remotely. They would live remotely a lot.
Yeah. I mean, how many stories have we heard about these people would be traveling and they would just find these abandoned camps.
Yeah.
We still
Homes
find it. We
yeah,
still find it.
homesteads, everything.
Yeah,
Just abandoned, like they just
left.
they
They
just
didn't take nothing with
yeah,
them. They just left.
mm-mm, right? And it's like where'd you go?
And again, anytime somebody went missing, they got blamed on either bandits or Indians.
Mm-hmm.
But what if there was? I mean, these people had to walk up on this stuff with a lack of arrows and stuff, or a lack of, And honestly, I can't see, like a massacre taking place, and even if they left the bodies, I don't think they'd leave their arrows. Those things. I mean, it takes a lot to make one. They were a commodity, but if you walked up on a scene and the people were just, killed, but no signs of bullets or arrows or spears or anything like that, but they were dead and maybe they were tore up.
Yeah. Well, Kimberly just said what I was just thinking. Yeah, I was like Roanoke. What does that
Mm,
sound like to you? That just
yeah.
all those people just disappeared. Not a
Well,
trace.
same thing happened in Port Lock, Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
People just vanished.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in that case, we do have the Bigfoot aspect of it because people talked about it. But in Roanoke, we don't. There wasn't nobody to
Right.
talk.
We have nothing. I mean, because how long were those people gone before somebody said, "Hey, they're missing"?
Right. Right.
So I mean, by the time they got back there, all evidence of whatever happened could just be gone. Because
Right.
you do have other predators and things, and I mean, all of that could just.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been way gone and decomposed and been in the ground before, they ever got back.
Yep. And Ridge Runner makes a good point. Tunguska, Russia, same thing. There are stories throughout history of towns just being deserted with no ifs, ands, or I mean, no explanation, no evidence, just gone. So, and let's see, who was that? William Bass is the Lumbee claimed to be the descendants of the Roanoke people. Who knows?
How do we know?
Yeah.
How are we going to know? There's no proof of that. We have no idea.
I mean, and there's a reason, not just you have very experienced trappers and loggers and hunters and fishermen and all these outdoorsmen and everything that are used to being out there that just disappear. The swamp is a big one. Swamp areas are huge, very known for that.
Oh, well, there's so many things out there, besides, the Sasquatch. There's so many things out there that can get you that.
Yeah.
How do you know that it's all natural occurring animals that we know of, or
Yep.
reptiles or anything? How do we know that? We don't.
Yep. Well, and Donnie Cho, that's a good point. He says in the 1800s, you broke your leg alone in the wilderness, that was a wrap. That was church, man. You were done.
Yep.
You know?
Just like a horse. Just like a horse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the only thing. It was the same. It's the same thing nowadays. And that's what drives me crazy. People don't realize you get out in the woods in a remote area by yourself, you get hurt, you're done, folks, for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know? Again, back to the 411 stuff. You know? It happens. But it's like we've always talked about. It's not just this. We're not saying, oh, well, this was Bigfoot or Dogman was responsible for every missing case. No, that's not what we're saying. But there's damn sure a chunk of it.
Yeah, we're just talking about the fact that not everything can be explained.
Right. Right.
Not everything is a bear or a wolf or a snake, or not all of it's that. But
right.
Some of it is Bigfoot being explained off as that.
Right.
Are the already existing animals that that they claim in our zoology books.
And Tennessee Ridge Runner, I guess you missed that. Tex, how about the Discovery Channel had a show about the town in Alaska where everything was. That's Portlock.
Portlock. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we mentioned that a while ago. And that's what we were talking about with that place and Roanoke. The difference is we got reports of that being Bigfoot. We've had it remote viewed. We've had, psychics look at it. The whole 9 yards. That was, in my mind, absolutely Bigfoot. Okay. Mm-hmm. But Roanoke, there's nothing.
No answers. There's nothing. There's no explanation. You would think that if all these people, left there and went somewhere else, that there would be some type of record somewhere saying, hey, we were from Roanoke or something that would say, but we have nothing. These people just vanished into thin air.
And I know we're talking about the 1800s here, but we can go even further back than that. How many lost civilizations are there?
Oh gosh, yes.
Where we'll run across, these remains of a city, but there's no remains of people.
No.
So I think this was definitely taking place worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, these people just pull up stakes and get the hell out of Dodge because it was, because a lot of what we're talking about, these instances where people just vanish, it looks like when you go into these towns, it looks like they left in a hurry because everything's still there. They didn't take anything with them. Well, they're not going to pack up. They didn't even pack up and leave. They just left.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or did they? Did they leave on their own accord? And even when you go into these places, say if you walked into a little village or town that was nobody was there, and there's the doors are open and stuff's ransacked and all that kind of stuff. Again, it goes right back to, oh, well, the Indians came and did it, or, bears got in the house or whatever after the fact. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe it was these Bigfoot creatures ransacking looking for stuff. And it looks like a person did it because they have opposable thumbs. So they can open and close stuff. I mean, when you, yeah, and JD Smith says, and that's the strange part of it, they didn't take anything. Exactly. They just were gone. I mean, you out west, you run across remnants of it may have been a teepee set up in a wagon. Somebody that was, a family that was traveling, going west. I'm surprised that it didn't happen to the Donner Party. Thank you, Kimber, member for 2 months.
Thank you. Yeah. I am surprised. But for me, I guess that the way that whole story turned out, and I'm not going to say anything about it on here. The way that whole story turned out, I mean, they could have looked at it and said, "Oh my gosh, they will eat themselves, eat their own.
Yeah.
Do we really want to deal with that? Or do we want that? Or and I, they could have said no. They're thinking, oh, them people are weird. Just leave them be.
Yeah.
Something wrong with them. You know what I mean? There's something wrong with them.
Kimber says, you guys know that when stuff gets attacked, dogs did it. Yeah.
Every time. Every time. Yep. Even in recent history, like 2 years ago history.
Well, that's what, yeah. Well, that's what me and Randy, always talk about. We always heard about this pack of wild dogs that was killing stuff, because it looked like a canine did it. But we ran around, man, I can't tell you how many miles we covered back in the brush. We never ran into no damn pack of wild dogs. Never even heard them.
Right. I mean, we're not saying that wouldn't happen either, because even where I'm at, there is a pack of dogs that when there's only one or two of them, they're okay. They just bark at you a lot. If there's all of them together, they're a little bit more aggressive.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying it didn't happen.
Right. But I don't think domesticated dogs are going to go out and do something like that. I just don't.
No,
I just don't think so.
They're not going to kill. They're not going to kill a FedEx or an Amazon guy. I mean,
yeah, that's what I mean. They're not going to get out there and do that. And I don't care how vicious you think they are. They're not going to go out there and mutilate something.
I think you have. I think you have more of a risk of that happening in inner cities than anything else.
Yeah.
Because people just kick dogs out because and they pack up. So.
Right. Or like in my area, they have a tendency to drop off unwanted animals.
Right.
So they do, like cats are a big one. And so every once in a while, you'll run across a feral cat community. And then it's kind of weird how they get picked off one by one. And then you have no cats out there.
Yeah. Okay, Barry Costantine says, pack feral wolf hybrid dogs will eat domesticated dogs. It would make sense that dog men would do the same thing. Okay, since we offended Tennessee Ridge Runner, we are now going to refer to them from here on as dog people.
Dog people?
Dog people.
Dog people.
Because we are nothing if not sensitive here on the. Did you see what I named it? Did you see what I named the episode when I put it? It's the thumbnail.
Bigfoot, the Wild West, is that one?
Well, yeah, but did you see read the rest of the thumbnail?
No, I didn't read the rest of it. I was in a hurry.
Yeah, I'll bring it up for you.
I was trying to get my internet to work. It's kind of scary, though.
Since y'all did a hostile takeover of the porch the other day.
We did.
Yeah, the Blondes and Tex Paranormal Porch podcast.
I love that. The Paranormal Porch podcast.
Oh, you know what? I haven't got to show these off except to the members of the team yet. We've got new T-shirt designs coming out, folks, and they're not going to be on I may put them on Teespring, but these are going to be available.
I think we should go with a different company.
Yeah, but I'm having these made locally. Marilyn Best is doing the printing for me. Jason, of course, did the artwork, and I've got to show y'all these. I just love these. So this is one T-shirt design. Bigfoot saw me. Ah! And these will be on the front of the T-shirts, and of course the porch logo will be on the back. And then we've got this one. Official toy of Dogman. I got to correct that.
Mine.
Yeah, I got to correct it. Dog people. Yeah, so.
Dog people.
Gotta be politically correct. I think this is my favorite here. I love this one.
Okay, so yeah, that would work. That's my favorite right there. Future dog people chew toy. Future dog people chew toy.
Yeah. So those are going to be available. I've got the shirts. I've been getting shipments in the last 3 days of T-shirts.
So come see us at a conference near you.
Yeah.
Or not near you. We don't care. Just come see us.
I'll be getting
get your T-shirt.
Prices and stuff. I should be getting it this evening and then I'll probably delivering them to get printed. I forgot to take that down. But they will be available. So.
Yeah, but that's pretty awesome though. I like that. I really do. I really like that last one.
Me too.
I have to have one of those. That's probably going to be the best seller.
I think so, but I do like the other one too. Official chew toy of Dogman, but and I like
dog
the
people.
I like all of them. But
yeah.
Now we are limited on. We're all going to be limited on sizes until I get them like online or something. But they will be available at the Jefferson conference. So in October. So if you want a T-shirt, come down and get one. But I'm really excited. I'm really excited about them. I haven't had a chance to.
So when is the Jefferson conference?
The weekend of the 19th, I believe. Let me look that up real quick.
Just so you can let everybody know that you're going to be there.
Yes, and I'm not the only one who will be there. Let's see. What am I looking for? Jefferson Bigfoot Conference. Yes, October 18th and 19th. You're looking at Jeff Meldrum, Lyle Blackburn, Ken Gerhardt. Those are the confirmed speakers. So, but yeah, you can go to Eventbrite and get your tickets. And honestly, it's worth a visit just to go to Jefferson. That is such a cool little town.
I've heard that.
Yeah, it's the mayor named it Bigfoot capital of Texas, which I think is cool. It's right off of it's in East Texas. It's right off of Caddo Lake, which is it's a very active area down there.
Right.
Yeah, great food because you have that mix of East Texas and Cajun right there, and you almost every bed and breakfast, from what I understand, every bed and breakfast in town is haunted. And there's a lot of these speakers. That will have paranormal experiences in their bed and breakfast. Our very own Anita Collier, a couple of years ago, was at the Jefferson conference and had a presence. I'll put it this way: set on her bed when she was gone one night. There was a certain doctor that tends to speak at that conference a lot. That has reported of having paranormal experiences in his bed and breakfast. So, yeah.
Wow, I wish I could go. That would be a fun time.
Last time we went, that's when the Front Porch Band made its debut in the karaoke bar, doing their own rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody.
But we now have a new and improved team.
Yeah.
Could be even better. Could be.
It could be. But also, like I said, I will not be the only one there. Marilyn Bass is going to be there, and Jason's going to be there. Ryan's going to be there. I almost called him Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Edwards is going to be there. That'd be just like me too. Ryan Reynolds is going to be there. Everybody showing up, wanting to see Ryan Reynolds. But and Danielle is flying down from Canada to attend. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun time. It's going to be a fun time. But now, getting back on track, because I derailed us, which I normally do. I have to wonder, because you hear, from back in the day, cattle rustlers, right?
Yes. Now that you say that, yeah.
Maybe it wasn't always cattle rustlers that we, or the way we think of cattle rustlers. Because we know, I mean, if cattle went disappearing, it was either cattle rustlers, bandits, or Indians.
Right.
You never hear, and I think it's not so much it's expected really for that to be shut down as far as that kind of talk, as far as Bigfoot and everything from that aspect goes. That doesn't surprise me. But what I am surprised at because is that you don't hear that theory at all. Because I guarantee you more episodes like Ape Canyon took place than just that.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to figure the cattle in general. Do you not think that 3 or 4 Sasquatch can't round up like 3 of them?
Right.
and block them off and run them off to somewhere else, straight down a path they want them to go down to.
Yeah.
I mean, think of the steps that these things can take, how
Oh, yeah.
big they are. It wouldn't take them much. They wouldn't have to kill them on the spot. They can just outrun them, basically.
Well, I mean, think about it. If you had cattle, especially when they started pinning them up, if you had cattle and they were giving birth,
You could just they could just snag one of those and run off with it.
yeah, yeah,
It'd be nothing for them to pick up, a calf
right.
or two.
Well, even in the Legend of Boggy Creek, one of the stories is, and it's in the movie, that one of these critters picked up 200-pound pigs and one under each arm, just walked off with it. Leaned over the fence, snatched them up, and walked off. So, I mean, I think they were responsible for a lot of the stuff that we hear about, and I'm not sure. Maybe these. I mean, and think about the cattle drives.
Right.
How many do they run across these things? Traveling, 2,000 miles would take months, to make the drive.
Well, even they're shorter drives, just days. They'd still
Right.
have to camp out overnight.
Yeah.
This cattle's not fenced in or anything.
Nope. They're just sitting around. Moo, moo.
Right, right. It's just like a dinner bell. Moo.
And then you had the guys that would set out, and babysit the cows at night.
Right.
How often did they come up missing?
It'd be worth a look to find out if there's any stories of these guys coming up missing.
Yeah, exactly. This is just a fascinating topic. I mean, it really is.
Cow tipping by
Paradox
Sasquatch.
calls them cow tipping by Sasquatch. Maybe that's where it started. I did a little of that in my younger days.
I don't know. I don't know. There's just so many things that are unexplained, and
Thank you, werewolf.
I just don't know if they would. I mean, they're not gonna. These are stories that we're talking about with these cowboys out there and cattle drives, and that they're not sitting there and they're not writing down everything that happened. This is word of mouth stories, and
Right.
how many
Hey,
have
Paul.
gotten lost through the years? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how many
Yeah.
Bigfoot stories have we lost because they didn't write anything down?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. How many do we not know about because, well, I ain't telling nobody what I saw. You don't know, I ain't telling nobody what.
That's right.
Hell, we get that today, much less back then. How many newspaper articles do we hear about back in the 1800s about, like you said earlier, about a wild man?
Right. Lots. There's a bunch of stories like that in a bunch of states, different states,
Yep. Yep.
From the East Coast to the West Coast, you hear it.
You really, really do. And think about when these people would move out into the prairie or out in, up in the mountains or whatever, wherever they moved, they probably didn't run into them so much in the open prairies. They may have back then, though. I don't know, because there wasn't, I don't think they had as much to worry about back then as they do moving about.
No, that they could move probably openly and not have to worry about it so much. And of course, I mean, all they would have to worry about basically are the tribes that lived in the prairie lands or anything like that, if they even ran across them,
Yeah. And
or
JD
if
Smooth,
they just steer
yeah.
clear.
JD Smooth, that's a damn good point too, and that's a generous estimate. He says half of them couldn't read or write. Yeah,
True.
there's a lot more than that, but yeah, I mean, you're talking about people who have third grade education, if they're lucky,
If they're lucky.
you know.
If they're lucky. Yeah, that and that tells you right there about how many stories we've lost just
Mm-hmm.
through time.
Yep.
Because somebody's like, I'm not repeating that story. That guy was crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
And then there's the end of the story. We don't hear anymore. Yeah.
Tennessee
I
Ridge
don't
Runner
know.
says open a prairie most likely was a dog person. Thank you, Tennessee Ridge Runner. See, dog person. Dog person.
Dog person.
Yeah, we will use the proper pronouns on this show. Don't forget that.
Dog person.
Yeah.
Person.
Or person, dog, however, whatever you identify as, is fine with us. Hey, I threatened at my last job. I threatened I was gonna start identifying as a Bigfoot because I was getting so much hell. I'm just gonna dive into it. Change my paperwork. I identify as a Sasquatch.
Why not? Would your benefits be any better? I mean,
right?
What would you classify as?
Well, hell, I might get vet care on top of medical.
Exactly. Free vet care. Yeah.
I could, I might just, I could be able to go to either one. So, just stop off at a vet clinic and
Right. Your preventative care would be like baths and nail clippings every month with the occasional like tick medication.
Yeah. Hey, you need that going out like we do sometimes.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
And I've often thought about what I wonder if I could get away with wearing a flea and tick collar, like around my wrist or something like that.
I thought about that too. I don't think so. I think we'd have to wear one around each arm, around your neck, around your ankles. I don't think it would cover us. I just don't think so.
So and by the way, just so I am going to put this out there. We're already seeing cases of West Nile down here in Texas.
Oh, I believe it. I'm surprised it even took so long. I figured you'd be seeing cases by April.
Yeah, so y'all watch the feeders out there, man, because they're rough this year with all the rain and everything like that.
Oh my gosh, I'd let my dogs out in the morning, because I have to do it sometimes before the sun comes up, and so I'm out there. I actually have to spray myself down to take them outside. So, but you got to watch your pets too, because they'll get sick too from it. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Amy Krill says she lost a horse to West Nile several years ago.
Oh yeah, that's a nasty, nasty virus there.
Joe, you know what, JoJo? I confused you and Lolo earlier on Rob's show because we had Dr. Dean on, and Lolo made a comment. I'm like, "Hey, there's your fellow countryman."
Oh.
But I was tired, so that's my story.
Yeah, Tex running on no sleep. Yeah, somebody had said, hang on a second. I hear something over there. I don't know what's happening. Somebody had said, I wish they would suck out fat instead of blood. And yeah, you betcha. I'd walk outside, stand out there for about 20 minutes and go on with my day.
And it's called a southern buttload.
Absolutely.
Southern
Southern
lapper.
bloodlet.
Southern
Right. Because the mosquitoes are as big as birds. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if y'all ever seen it, and if you're ever in Texas and you stop by a gift shop, they used to have these a lot. I see them every once in a while now, but they're Texas size fly swatters. They're about 4 feet long.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I need those. I need those. And because I swear I don't know what's happening. The last couple of years, it's like we've had part of the plague going on over here. Because during the summer, the frogs have been so bad. I mean, I'm having to salt the steps going outside to keep the frogs off because the frogs are just gathering. Frogs and toads, yeah. The little bright green ones that hang all over the house. And then I get the toads hanging around the front, and I have to put salt down to keep them off the porch because you open it up, and next thing you know, you got all these frogs jumping in the house. I'm like, what is happening? What is happening? And and then the wasps now are picking up. They're pretty bad now out here. I'm like, what's happening? I don't know. Because you would think with all the frogs, I wouldn't have any mosquitoes or bugs, any bugs for that matter.
Right.
But they're all out here.
Quit bragging about the fact that you have a pool. I'm already mad at you about that.
Frogs attract snakes. Well, I got them too.
I was on Paul's show the other day, and we're talking, and he's like, "Yeah, what'd you do today? What did I do today? Blah blah. That kind of stuff." Well, I spent a couple hours in the pool. I'd sit out in the sun and take a few laps. Shut up. Just shut up.
Who's that? What? Pool? I couldn't have a pool out here. I had a pool. I got one of those ones that it's got the blow up ring, and it's it was pretty big, so I had it out in the backyard. It lasted one season. By the time the farmers got done with what they were doing out here and then burning and then everything else, the whole pool was ruined. Because when they burned and everything went up there, went in the pool, and it sucked it up, and and I was just like, that was just a waste of money, just a waste of money. So pool, if you go out and sit by a pool and relax, you need to come over here because we go out there and we fight snakes and frogs and bugs and wasps and feral cats, dogs.
We decided that Paul is a stunt double for somebody the other day.
Paul is a stunt double for who?
Paul is a stunt double. Let's see if I can find that. Let me look it up real quick because this is funny. This is funny. Because we always talk about, Rob being, Rick from Pawn Stars, right?
Right.
But this is so funny because, and Paul don't think he looks like him, but I'm telling you, he does.
I don't want to make Paul mad at me if I say he does.
He said he was going to get his wife's opinion. I'm trying to find that picture where he looks just like him.
Oh no, this could be bad though.
Oh, there it is. There it is. My mouse is having seizures.
Might be time for a new one of those too.
Man, what is going on with you, mouse? Jeez Louise. Okay, let's see if I can make this work here. I hope this is worth it because it's really.
Uh-oh.
Oh, look at here! Look at here! See, I start talking about him, and now he jumps on. Hey, Paulie.
Hey, listen. Now, the show's almost over.
Yeah.
Where you been?
I was on. I got invited to do another show. Somebody wanted to interview me. I don't know why. Oh God, really?
Let me look. Let me see. No,
I don't see.
I don't see that. I don't see that.
I am not the only one that saw it. Come on, guys. Really?
There is a resemblance, but I wouldn't say it looks just like him.
No, I don't
There's a
have
little
that
bit of
big
a
Adam's apple.
resemblance.
No.
His mouth doesn't.
See, it looks uncanny similar. Thank you. Thank you. At least somebody, thank you, Barry. See, I knew you was on my side.
Really, Barry?
Kimberly,
Really?
see, she sees it.
Oh, Mickey,
says
thank
Paul is a
you.
nice guy. That actor isn't.
Thank you, Mickey. I got you fooled. Let me know. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And see, people remember us talking about this because Freaky Geek says, I agree, Paul. He looks more like the pic with the guy working out.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, don't you remember? Don't you remember you said that my much younger sister lives in Australia? She's that podcaster that has the braids, the blonde-headed one with the braids. Do you remember her? I can't remember her name right now, but you said, the one you said that was my much younger sister.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that. God, that's a long time ago, girl.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Louise. Man.
But my much younger sister lives in Australia. She's a podcaster too.
I'm looking up blonde podcasters in Australia, and I'm not seeing one that looks like. Okay, never mind.
She wears the braids. You know how I wear the double braids? Yeah. She wears them just like that. And she's blonde-headed, and there is a resemblance there too, but she's a much younger and way prettier one.
No. Does she do a paranormal podcast though? Is her show paranormal?
She does cryptid, yeah.
Oh, really?
She does cryptid, absolutely, yes.
You should have her on.
That's how we were talking about her. We need to find her, Tex, and bring her on. Because she had gosh, what was her name? I wish I could remember what her name was.
That's not Yowie Central, is it?
I don't think so. Well, I don't think so, but it could be. I don't think so, though.
That would be cool.
I have to think about it. Yeah, because I don't remember the name of it though. But that was a long time ago. That was like a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago.
Ristel says, but Brandi, does she have the dimples?
You know, I don't know. I don't know. It's a long time ago. I don't remember.
Poppy Montgomery.
Someone said Poppy Montgomery. I think her name was Poppy, but
there's a couple other names that somebody said, and I think Kim said in chat. Det Stabler?
I don't know. We'll have to find it now.
Oh, that's a dude.
That's definitely not it.
And he doesn't have any hair.
So, Paul, real quick, because I'm fixing to have to jet. Are y'all going to keep the show going or what?
No, I'm going to go to bed. Remember, I got to get up at 2:30.
No, I'm not then, I guess.
You can stay on Paul all night. You can.
Well, you know what? I'll say we'll have a staring contest.
There you go.
You can have a staring contest. That'll be all right. That'll be all right. We'll find that podcaster and we'll get a picture of her and we'll compare us. Maybe Tex will remember tomorrow.
This is Poppy. Was it Poppy Montgomery?
Yeah, that's not her.
No.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
All right, now I gotta look. Dadgummit.
All night long with paranormal.
It
Paul.
may be what did you say? Yowie Central?
Yahweh.
Yowie. I got one of their T-shirts somewhere. If I even still have
That's
it,
her.
I think somebody stole her.
That's her. Yowie
Poppy?
Central. No, Yowie Central.
Yowie Central. Now everybody's gonna go look.
Mm-hmm. Can you put it on the screen?
Working on it.
Okay.
Well, you better hurry up. You gotta go work.
I know, right?
He's like, shut up. I don't want to be reminded.
Yeah, because tonight's gonna be brutal, guys. It's gonna.
Yeah, tonight's yeah, that's like I said, tomorrow is gonna be brutal for me. Absolutely brutal. Yeah.
I remember her having blonder hair though.
Yeah, she had way blonder hair.
Really?
I don't think that's a very good picture of her though.
No.
Mm-mm. No, because I mean, in person, she, when she's talking and everything, she is just, she looks nothing like that.
How do you spell her name?
I don't know.
Well, you just searched it, didn't you?
Well, yeah, but not for Sarah. Somebody.
Oh. Sarah
Bignell.
Oh. Oh, that's a pharmacist. Different Sarah.
Well, she could be my friend. Have a friend as a pharmacist. Absolutely.
It's always good to have connections.
I'll be happy all the time. It'd be no problem.
But yeah, that's the only one I can find of her in braids.
Oh, well, dang it. Yeah, because she was on the show and she had braids in. Well, anyway, Tex, we're running here on an hour and a half. We're running at 9:29 Central Time. We're going to have to get off here so you can get to work.
Get to work.
Oh, hush.
He's got to be there in a half hour.
I do. I may be late.
He's like, I may be late.
Brandy's got to get up early.
Yeah, so. And I cannot be late.
Yeah.
Fine.
That's all right. That's the thing, though. We can continue this conversation tomorrow.
Right. Hey, we can, because I'll be here tomorrow too.
That's right, Paul. You're welcome to show up on time tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Greg Ogle says Brandi is a hot tamale.
Oh, he's so sweet.
Yeah, well, he's probably, Greg, he's probably feeling moist again.
He's just being sweet because he's seen me after being out all night looking for Bigfoot. He's seen me. He's really seen me. So have you, Tex. You've really seen me.
Well, anyway, real quick, we want to thank Tennessee Ridge Runner, and Gary Spike Sr., James Patake, Mickey G, T-Bone, Shelley Montgomery, Kimber, and Ristral. Thank you so much for your support tonight, folks. It means a lot to us. It really. And
that's does. James Fadiki, by the way.
Fadiki. Okay.
Yeah.
Fadiki.
Fadiki. But anyway, join us tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central. We'll be right back here and we'll continue this conversation. Just saying.
Oh yeah, real quick. Pop says, Greg, you should see her when she's rigged out to go in the field. Exactly, she looks like a blonde Laura Croft. She does. She does.
I ain't playing. I'm not playing when I'm out there.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Bye, guys.
Well,
Good
take care.
night.